With the release of Dispatch, everyone's been talking about how Phenomaman is basically Omni-Man 2.0 and can even beat the brakes off Daddy Viltrumite. But I did the research, and it's actually not even close. And today, I'm going to break down every battle category to show just how massive the gap is between these two, starting with the foundation of any good versus matchup, strength. Now, Phenomaman's entire argument for having planetary plus tiers of strength comes down to a single scene that doesn't even involve any action, and that's, of course, the scene in SDN's parking lot, where he's wallowing in depression over getting dumped by his muscle mommy girlfriend, completely casually and with no indication that he realizes how significant it would be. He talks about the option of flying headfirst into the sun, absorbing all of its energy, and plunging the world into eternal darkness. Normally, you'd call bullcrap and say any character making a claim like that is just overstating their own abilities and/or trying to show off. The thing with Phenomaman, though, is that the guy seems a tad too stupid to do that. And I don't say that as a bad thing, but he's just clueless enough that it wouldn't make enough sense for him to be lying, especially when he has zero reason to do so. He's already got his hands full trying to figure out how to be a person after all. So, assuming that his statement is something he actually can achieve, that means his body is either powerful or highly adaptable enough to contain the full power of a star, something that only the strongest versions of even the original Superman can accomplish. On top of that, in the comics for Dispatch, Phenomaman's talked about how the only thing that's even remotely a threat to him is a potential planet-eating giant monster that can swallow whatever world he's on before he can do anything. At face value, that sounds like a brag and an upscale. But again, Phenomaman's got no reason to be lying about this stuff. Put together, these statements paint the picture that Phenoma's easily high planetary to low star level, at least in strength. The problem here, however, is that whether they're true or not, these statements are just that. They're statements about how strong Phenomaman might potentially be in the right circumstances. They are not, however, levels of strength we actually ever see from him. While Phenoma's claimed to be able to absorb the sun's energy, we have no reason to believe he can actually even use that power offensively. Keep in mind, when he's talking to Robert, he says that his absorbing the sun's power would plunge the world into darkness. He never makes any mention of actually outputting that power in any meaningful way. And then you've got his actual feats in the game, which are so significantly lower than his stated potential, it's not even funny. The most we ever see him do is throw around some light poles at Shroud's tentacle mech and punch some goons. Plus, he tanks a laser from that mech as well. But with the kinds of things characters survive in the game, that's not the greatest feat. In essence, Phenomaman's like the one kid at school who says he's got a rich older girlfriend who goes to another school. Sure, he'd be the man if it were true, but there's no real proof of it. On the other hand, Omni-Man has nothing but observable feats. From his massacre at the Guardians of the Globe, who absolutely scale above the Z-Team from Dispatch, to his destruction of the Flaxen homeworld all on his own, and stopping a meteor the size of Texas. And those are just his feats from Season 1, never mind the rest of the series. Even Omni-Man's most passive feat from Season 1 outstrips everything Phenomaman shows. Specifically, he tanks a freaking nuke-level death laser from space and comes out with nothing worse than a nosebleed. When you put their stats side by side, it's pretty clear that Phenomaman, even on his best day, only barely measures up to Nolan on any other Tuesday. To boil it down, Phenomaman might have more raw strength than Omni-Man in the right circumstances, with the right setup and the right prep time. But if you just put them in a cage match out of nowhere, Nolan stomps Catan Or, and it wouldn't even be fun to watch. But alright, strength isn't everything in a fight. So what about speed? Well, that category is even more of a landslide victory for Omni-Man. The greatest speed feats Phenomaman's shown throughout the 8 episodes of Dispatch are just in 2 instances. Specifically, when he flies to Tokyo with Blonde Blazer for dinner in episode 2, and when he flies up to the moon to drink his sadness away after Chase gets hospitalized. The thing is though, while these are impressive speeds by human standards, they're really not that special for Superman-level characters. Let's take the Tokyo trip for starters. With the distance from LA to Tokyo being about 5,470 miles, if Phenomaman covers that in 60 seconds flat, he'd be able to go at about Mach 428, 428 times the speed of sound. At that same speed, it'd take him about 44 minutes to get from LA to the moon in episode 7. Here's the thing though, that puts him at an average speed of 91.17 miles per second. That's still 2,000 times slower than the speed of light. So taking light speed as a base, Phenomaman would be thousands of times slower than it. Meanwhile, Omni-Man has been seen crossing entire light years over the span of days or weeks. Hell, we've seen him travel between entire galaxies. Even if you severely lowball those observed feats, Omni-Man's top speeds would easily be magnitudes above light light speed. Hell, even if you throw that out the window and just put him at base light speed, that's still fast enough to blitz Phenomaman before he can even perceive what's happening. Even if Phenomaman were amped to his star-level interpretation, the speed gap never closes. Raw power cannot compensate for an opponent you cannot even see. So, okay, with both speed and strength taken by Nolan, what about durability? Maybe he can't beat Omni-Man, but could he at least outlast him in a fight? After all, Mark and Thrag towards the end of the series are both stronger than Nolan, and even they can't survive without their bodies breaking apart inside the sun. But Phenomaman can just absorb all the energy from said star, so he's tougher, right? Well, no, it's not really that straightforward. All that really proves is Phenomaman has the ability to absorb radiation, and his body's physiology allows him to contain that energy. In no way does anything we've seen indicate that his body is unbreakable, though. He's more than tough enough to handle the town-level outputs of his verse. Yes, as well as impacts and kinetic forces that would obliterate a regular person. But Omni-Man routinely tanks continental to planetary forces. He survives multi-teraton explosions, planet-scale energy bursts, extreme atmospheric pressures, interstellar travel impacts, and alien weapons specifically designed to kill beings like him, not to mention a healing factor and long-term durability scaling from stronger Viltrumites like Thrag. So once again, Phenomaman's durability is only higher than Omni-Man in the very specific niche condition that they're literally fighting inside the sun itself. And considering Omni-Man's both faster and stronger than Phenoma, there's no real way for him to force the fight up there. Okay, so with all the physical stats swept by Nolan, what else can Phenomaman try to compete with? Except, let's be real here. Omni-Man takes the cake on that category even more significantly than everything else. If their physical stats were a closer matchup than they are, battle IQ and experience are the things that would give Nolan an edge. After all, he's a centuries-old elite soldier from a race of battle-hardened warriors who live to be the best. He spent centuries conquering planets, fighting superpowered beings, and improving his technique. Trained in Viltrumite combat, which is designed for brutal efficiency, he fights without wasting a single movement. In comparison, Phenomaman's just a big dude with superhuman stats who throws his weight around and coasts on his natural superiority. It's like comparing a chainsaw to a butter knife. There is no comparison. So with all those factors taken into consideration, how would a fight between the two actually go? Allow me to set the stage. Let's imagine they start about 20 meters apart. Phenomaman squares up, ready to unleash the sun-level power he believes he can channel. Omni-Man sees him as a potential threat, but not a confusing one. He's fought guys bigger and badder than this before. Hell, he's fought faster and angrier things at that. Before Phenomaman even realizes Omni-Man's moved, Nolan strikes him in the jaw. Phenomaman is launched backward across several kilometers. His brain tries to process what happened, but Omni-Man is already behind him, ready to land the next hit. The reason Phenomaman can't counter is simple. He cannot react to motion that surpasses light speed. Even if he could theoretically absorb the power of the sun, that does not matter if he never activates that level of force in time. Not to mention Nolan wouldn't let him get to the sun in the first place. Omni-Man could hold him in place and crush his limbs. He could drag him into orbit. He could punch him repeatedly until his body gives out. He could fly him into space and slam him directly into a planet. Phenomaman might survive some of this due to his stated durability, but surviving does not mean winning. A character needs the ability to respond. Phenomaman cannot even follow Omni-Man's movement, let alone strategize around it. Even in a scenario where Phenomaman activates his sun-level state, Omni-Man can evade long before that happens, or just outrun Phenomaman until he runs out of juice. The best case scenario for Phenomaman is that he tanks a few hits before losing consciousness. The worst case scenario is that he never even realizes what's happening, just suddenly doubling over in indescribable pain and agony. Phenomaman has one impressive statement, but all of Omni-Man's consistent feats exceed Phenomaman's actual showings by a massive margin. The difference in speed alone makes the battle unwinnable for Phenomaman, regardless of how strong he might become under perfect conditions. Power, Omni-Man. Speed, Omni-Man. Durability, Omni-Man. Stamina, Omni-Man. Skill, Omni-Man. No matter how you scale it, the winner is clear. Omni-Man wins.